Hello students. Yesterday we have discussed the application of Gauss law, and in that application section first of all we have calculated what will be the electric field due to any infinitely charged conducting wire. After that we have discussed what will be the electric field due to infinitely large sheet or charged sheet, and after that calculation we have done it for the three-dimensional surface also, or simple not for three-dimensional, even you can calculate it for the three-dimension also, like for a sphere you can calculate it, for the cylinder you can calculate it easily, and we have seen it for the case of spherical cell. So these three applications we have concluded, and we have calculated that we can simply calculate electric field at any point due to all these types of spherical surfaces, or simple all these types of surfaces. So here one more application that we will study, that is how to prove Coulomb's law of force or Coulomb's law of electrostatic with the help of Gauss law. So by using Gauss law even we can prove the basic law of electrostatic, that is Coulomb's law of electrostatic. So again for the proof of Coulomb's law, let's see, or suppose that again we are seeing this, we are taking the point charge. So here if plus q charge is situated somewhere, then for this the Gaussian surface we have drawn, that is a sphere. Means the region up to which it is effective, you will match all these locus of all that points, then it will serve or it will give you the shape of the Gaussian surface, that is spherical surface. So for any spherical surface the Gauss law can be calculated or can be applied easily. So according to Gauss law, phi is equal to E dot ds over the closed integral is equal to q by epsilon 0, means 1 by epsilon 0 times the charge enclosed by this Gaussian surface, and charge enclosed by this is q, it is given. Now as we know that the electric field due to any point charge at any point P, suppose a point P at this Gaussian surface we have taken, and that point P will serve as a point charge, it is a point, and this is also point charge. So due to any point charge at any location we can calculate electric field, and that electric field is calculated as 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 q divided by, if r is the radius of this, then q divided by r square. Now we can expand this one. So before expanding it, suppose we are taking a small area ds here of this spherical surface. So this small area ds we can draw area vector. You know that area vector is in the normal direction to the planar area. So this is the planar area and this is the direction normal to this. It means that the area vector that will be in this direction. So this is the direction of ds. And also you know that for plus q charge the field that is radially in outward direction. So as the field is radially outward, then it will be in this direction. At any point you can take this small area, and if you can see this vector, so for that case always this area vector and this vector E, that will be in the same direction if we are taking here for plus q charge. And suppose if we are taking minus q charge, then for minus q electric field is its direction is inside or inward, radially inward directional. So in that case if you will take it radially inward, then the angle between area vector and E, that becomes 180 degree, and in this section the value of E here will be minus q. So obviously after solution you will get the same value. You can take any charges for your consideration. If you use, then you can take also minus charge and you can see the results. Now let's expand or use this one. So by using this one you can see here this will be E ds cos 0 is equal to q by epsilon 0. Let's just erase it first. And after solution its value will be cos 0 is 1, and finally we will get E ds. And as E is uniform, because in the Gauss law we always deal with uniform field, so as the field is uniform or charge is uniformly distributed over this Gaussian surface, so this is, we can take it outside. So E, if you will take it outside outside, so this will be integral over ds, and this is q by epsilon 0 times. Now if we will integrate now this whole of the surface over this whole sphere, means if this small area we will start to increase, then it will provide us the area of whole of the sphere. It means that its integration will be equal to area of a sphere, and you know that surface area of a sphere, that is 4 pi r square. So in the place of this we can write 4 pi r square. So this is equal to q by epsilon 0 times. Now we can calculate, and this is q upon 4 pi epsilon 0 r square. So this is the value of electric field for such types of point charges we have now calculated by using Gauss law. And you know that if we have to calculate force, that this charge will apply on any trace charge q0, suppose we are just keeping it at the point P, q0 charge, then it will experience a Coulomb force. So that force is given by, in terms of this electric field, it is given by q0 into E. So by using this formula of force in any electric field, simple, if we are putting any charge in the field of any other charge, then this charge will experience a force, and that force is known as electrostatic force, and this is given by F is equal to q0 into E. If we are putting q0 charge, if you are putting q charge, then this will be q into E. And if you will now put the value of E here, so this F will be, let's don't use it vector, as we have used only magnitude, later I will tell you in vector form also it. So this will be equal to q upon 4 pi epsilon 0 r square, and here this is q0. And this is also the form of Coulomb's law of electrostatic, that is that tells us that the force between any two charges q and q0 is directly proportional to the product of the charges. So from here we are seeing this is directly proportional to the product of charges, and it is inversely proportional to the distance between that two charges. The distance between two charges that we have taken, that is r. So it is, you are seeing it is inversely proportional to the square of the distance between these two charges. It is also fulfilling here, and the proportionality constant 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught is also here. So it means easily we can prove Coulomb's law of electrostatic by using Gauss law also. So whenever field is uniform, charge is uniformly distributed, we can apply Gauss law to calculate any kind of electric field, and by using that we can easily calculate flux, or we can calculate forces that is acting on any charge in that field, and also we can calculate what will be the value of torque and other things. So I think number of things we have discussed in this chapter. Again, in one line, let me summarize the chapter, as the chapter now ends here. After that, I will explain some of the numerical problems, because we have discussed numerical problems on charge and field, and also on dielectric factors like at axial point, equatorial point. We have calculated electric field by using the numerical problems also. And after that we have calculated some of the problems by using torque that is produced due to any electric dipole when we put into it any external field. And only we have to solve the problems on flux and problems on Gauss law. So let's see them. So first of all, here we have discussed first, if two charges we have, then two charges means always charges have property to attract or repel any other charge. Means if charges are like charges, they will repel each other. If they are unlike charges, they will attract each other. So simply, if they are attracting or repelling each other, then what kind of force is acting between them? That force can be given by Coulomb's law of attraction or repulsion, means Coulomb's law of electrostatic. And also about charges, we have seen how can we produce them. Like charges can be produced by friction, by rubbing we can produce that, and also we can produce them by induction process. Means if we will induce some of the charges to accumulate somewhere, and after that we will ground it, then we can produce the certain positive charge on any device. So this is the way through which we can produce charges anywhere. Second thing, if we have to produce, we have to understand about the charges, then their properties. So charges have the properties of conservation, means charges, we are not actually producing the charge. Always I tell you, only to make you understand, we are using that word. In original way, we are only transferring charge from one place to another place. Like if you will see, we are grounding, it means any device, means we are just transferring negative charge to earth. So in the way of transfer, we have just produced the positive charge on that body, means we have charged that body by induction. So this is the way, means while production we are using only the transfer of charges, not we are producing exactly anything. So charges cannot produce, we cannot destroy it, we can only transfer it from one body to another body. So this is called the conservation of charge, and this is also a universal law of conservation. Second concept that we have, quantization of charge, means charges are always quantized. It means that its basic cause is that whenever we will see the transfer of charges, so they are transferred in a whole number. Means one charge is transferred, two charges transferred, three charges transferred. Neither we have seen a half charge is transferred or 3.5 charges are transferred. So this is not possible. So that means charges are always quantized in nature. And third properties that we have discussed, that is additive nature of charges. Means charges are additive, means if any system is enclosed or that contained n number of charges, and we know the charge on one, means we know individually their charges, and we have to calculate what will be the total number of charge on that system. So simply by addition we can see it. So due to additive nature we can calculate it. So these are the properties of charges that we have discussed. Also which force, through which force they are interacting each other, that can be given by Coulomb's law of electrostatic, that we have discussed it already. After that discussion we have seen the field. So field is that area through which any charge is effective, means if any other charge will come in that region, that will feel any kind of interactive forces, means either it can be attractive or repulsive. So according to that it will feel that kind of forces. So that field is denoted by this, means if we will take F by Q0, means force per unit that is charge, so that will provide us the value of electric field of that particular charge in the region it is entered. So this can be calculated easily. So in that way we have calculated by using this concept charges due to, electric field of any charge Q. So by dividing this force by Q0 we can calculate electric field due to any point charge, so that is equal to Q upon 4 pi epsilon 0 r square. So that thing we have discussed. After that we have discussed electric dipole. So electric dipole is a configuration in which two charges that are of opposite polarity, they are separated by some small distance. So means they are bonded by some kind of force, but they are separated by the small distance. So such kind of arrangement is known as electric dipole, and the strength of electric dipole is denoted in terms of electric dipole moment, that we have discussed. After that in the case of electric dipole, how can we calculate the field due to any this system of two charges we have? So that two charges will produce or somehow kind of electric field. So that electric field, how can we calculate it? And in that case we have 2 points, means if we are seeing any point, or we are taking any point at the axis of the dipole, so that is called axial point. And if we are taking that point at the equatorial point, means that point, that is if any line we will draw to the axis of the dipole, so that is perpendicular. So that point is known as equatorial point. So for both of the point we have seen what will be the electric field, what will be its formula, how can we derive it, and after that there are a number of numericals we have discussed there. In the last section we have seen the Gauss law and its application. So number of applications we have used, even all the previous year problems that we were discussed already, that we can understand by is using Gauss law. So as I think student, whatever in this chapter we have discussed, all the things are now clear. So if these are clear, now let's see some of the numerical problems on Gauss law and also on electric flux. So for the electric flux, one question we have, that is, a hemispherical body is placed in a uniform electric field E. So what is the flux associated with the curved surface if the field is first parallel to base, second perpendicular to base? So question is that any hemisphere or that is given. So this is semicircular, hemisphere it is. So this is the hemispherical base that is given. So in this hemisphere, this is the part or circular section, and this is its curved section. Now uniform electric field, we have to see what will be the flux that is associated with its curved surface. So if we have to see only the curved surface, first of all, to calculate the flux, again I am telling you, we have to understand in which direction the area vector will be. So as it is just like this type of device, so its circular section is in this direction, so its planar area is this. So its perpendicular direction will show the area vector, means the area vector will be in this direction. This is the direction of the area vector. Now first situation is given, if electric field lines are parallel to the base. So if you will see, this is the base, suppose I am putting it by some AB. So this AB is the base, and if electric field lines that are parallel to this base, so these are the electric field lines that are passing through it, goes in this way. So these are the electric field lines for the first case parallel, and for the second case it is given if electric field lines are perpendicular. So later we will see that. So in the first case, if you will see the angle between electric field and this area vector, that is simply by the figure it is clear, this is 90 degree. So first you have to understand how to draw such kind of figure, so that you will be able to understand the angle between them. So if it is clear, now the angle phi or d phi, it is given by simple by example you can also take it phi. So phi is the E into area, electric field into area, simple, and electric field, this is E or E dot ds we are writing. So if you will include it, this will be equal to cos theta. Hence electric field, area, and angle between area and this electric field. So E ds cos theta final, this is we have, and the value of ds, let's write it or into, this is cos 90 degree. So as the value of cos 90 is 0, so simple, the flux associated with this curved surface, curved hemisphere, that will be 0 in this case. Second question is, when electric field is perpendicular to this base of the hemisphere. So as this is the base, AB is the base of hemisphere, and if electric field lines that are in the perpendicular direction, only to curved surface it is given, that's why it is perpendicular to curved surface we are taking. So this is the value of E. So for, by this figure you can see the direction of electric field, that is 180 degree from the area vector. So simple, phi is given by E ds cos theta. So this is E, and value of ds means area enclosed by this. So area is simple by this circular hemisphere, the circular device, by the area, that is pi r square. If r is the radius, suppose r is the radius of this, so this will be pi r square, and the value of cos 180 degree here we have to write it. So value of cos 180 degree, that is equal to -1. So this will be finally equal to minus E pi r square. In this case, this will be the value of the flux here. So easily by the factors we can understand what will be the value of electric flux for the certain figures. Let's see some more examples here. So next question we have, that is, consider a uniform electric field E is equal to 3 to 10 power 3. This is given. E vector E is equal to 3 into 10 to the power 3. The direction is given. This is Newton per coulomb. So first question is that here what is the flux of this field through a square of 10 centimeter on a side whose plane is parallel to the YZ plane. So here one thing is given in this electric field. If we are taking any square and the side of the square, suppose that is A we are taking, so this is given 10 centimeter, and the first case that square is kept in the direction of YZ plane. So if that loop is in the direction of YZ plane, then you know that the area vector that is normal to the plane. So as normal to the YZ plane is X plane or X axis. Simple, if you are seeing this is X, this is Y, this is Z. So this is known as YZ plane, this is known as XY plane, this is known as ZX plane. So this is the YZ plane in which the loop is. So obviously its direction will be along the x-axis, and along the x-axis the vector that we are using to represent it, that is I. So the direction of area vector, that is also in this direction. So ds can be written as vector ds is equal to some n cap, or in the place of n cap you can write I cap ds. So this is now area vector for this case. As the normal it is already given, that is I cap in the direction of x-axis. Again in the question, if it is given that here suppose that I is already given and the loop is along the xy plane. So for the xy plane the area vector will be along the z axis, because the perpendicular axis for the xy plane, that is along the z axis. So in this case there will be vector k into ds. So in this way you have to write first of all area vector. After that we can use simple flux formula to calculate it. So for the case phi will be equal to E dot ds. So E is given, that is 3 into 10 power 3. This is I cap in dot. ds is I, and also this ds is magnitude of the area of this square. So area of the square, that is a square. So if you will see a square, and first let's convert it into meter. So this will be 10 power minus 1 meter. So in the place here we can write 10 power minus 2 a square. This is the our case now, and obviously the two directions are same, or we don't have to take direction as we are taking dot product here of two vectors. So as the I dot I, it is equal to 1. So we can write it 3 into 10 power 3 into 10 power minus 2, and if you will solve it, this is obtained 30. So this is our answer here for this case, and this will be equal to Newton meter square per coulomb. So this is the value of the flux for this particular case. Second question in this same thing, it is given, what is the flux through the same square if the normal to its plane makes an angle 60 degree with the x-axis. So it is given that if suppose this normal is making angle with the x-axis, that is 60 degree, it means that again the area vector is along the x-axis. It is given already normal to the that is normal to that loop is along the x-axis. So already the area vector direction is given, that is along the x-axis. So angle between these two, and also that normal is making angle 60 degree with this x-axis. So in this case, if you will see E is equal to, so this will be phi is equal to, so phi is E ds cos theta, and value of magnitude of D, that is E, that is the 3 into 10 power 3, ds is 10 power minus 2, and cos theta is given, that is 60 degree. Means if you will see the direction of both normal and the angle between them, that is given 60 degree already. So directly we can put here the value of cos 60, that is equal to 1 by 2, and we can solve it, that will be 1.5 into 10 to the power 1, that is 15 Newton meter square per coulomb. So this is the answer of flux when it will make 60-degree angle from the x-axis for the square loop. So there are two examples that we have taken to calculate the flux for different kinds of surfaces we have. In first case we have taken the example of hemisphere. In second case we have taken the example of a square. In the same way you can see or you can take number of loops here in the same problem. Like in previous problem we have taken the example of hemisphere. You can take the example of any half cylinder you can take, or you can take the example of a square, you can take the example of rectangle, you can also take here the example of cylinder, you can take example of hemisphere, you can take example of the sphere, or so many figures that you are imagining in your mind, and also for which you can calculate the area there. So that for that figure you can calculate what will be the electric flux for any cases. So let's just try it at home, how to solve or how to calculate electric flux for rectangular field, for rectangular loop, for circular loop you can also take. So just see how to calculate it. Or suppose you have any hemispherical loop or you have any cylindrical loop. So for both four of the cases, just calculate it. Now let's see one more numerical problem here, and after that tomorrow we will discuss some of the numerical problem based on Gauss law. So question is that consider an electric field E is E0 x cap. It is given in our question. So vector E is given, that is E0 x cap. Now where E0 is a constant quantity, what is the flux through the area that is given in figure due to this field? So one figure it is given to us. This is three-dimensional figure we have. This is y, this is z, and this is x. This is a point P. Here a point Q is given. Here one point R is given, and here one more point S is given. Means it is overall a parallelogram. It is given to us, and this one is. Location is given 0, 0, 0, its position is 0, A, 0, and its position is given A, 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 and its position is given A, 0, A. These three things are now given to us, four things, and we have to calculate what will be the flux through this whole of the loop here. So first of all the problem of us, that is how to calculate the area vector here, as we have already the given factor, that is electric field. So let's calculate area vector. As you know that the area of this parallelogram can easily be calculated by the vector cross product of PQ and this RQ. So by using easily any two sides you can calculate the area, or by PQ and PS you can see these two sides exactly, the adjacent side if you will see. So this area ds, this is given by vector PQ cross vector PS. If you will use these two, then by using we can calculate it. So by using this one, or simple exactly you can take a dot product also here. No, we have to take dot product, cross product. So for PQ, that is the distance between these two. So by vector term, if you have to write it, so first let's associate x with this, y with this, z with this. Again with this is x cap, y cap, z cap. So we can write, if you will just take the minus here, so this T2 will be minus 0. So this is 0 x cap plus a x cap, and distance between the y axis, that is a cap, or distance between the z axis, that is again 0. So this will be y direction, this is z direction associated with it now. And cross for the PS, if this thing we will take, the distance between these two is a, distance between these two is 0, distance between these two is a again. So this will be equal to a x cap, this is equal to 0 y cap, and this is again equal to a z cap. So this is now vector PQ and vector PS that we have calculated. Now if you will take the cross product of these two, we will have the area vector. So directly by the cross product, the things that we will obtain, this is equal to a square x cap minus a square z cap. So these two quantities that after solution we will get here. And now as we have seen this area vector, so we can use the formula to calculate the flux here. So formula is E dot A, the dot product of area vector on here ds we have taken, then E dot ds. So let's write the value of E, that is E0 x cap and dot product of a square x cap minus a square z cap. So as we know that the same direction will give us the value 1 and a different direction will give us the value 0, as we know that the extension of dot product, that is a dot b, is ab cos theta. So angle between these two axes, x axis and x axis, that is 0. Angle between x axis and z axis, that is 90 degree. So for that case it will be equal to 0. So simple by multiplication, if you will see here, we will obtain this a0 a square x cap dot x cap minus a0 a square e0 x cap dot z cap. So this will be equal to 0 and this will be equal to 1 here. So after solution, final value of flux that we will get, that is e0 a square, and if you have to write its unit, then that will be Newton meter per coulomb here. Simple, by using the concept you can solve any numerical. So for every concept you have to calculate first of all area vector, and if you have area vector, you have electric field, you can calculate flux any time. So if all these things are now clear, then let's end the class here. Problems on Gauss law we will discuss in next class. Thank you.